Yes.
So I mean, let's get it started with Gary since his list came out a few days ago. Gary, take us down your top five. Give us a little bit of reasoning as to why they're at that spot.
Okay, so brace yourself. So number 5 is GTA 5. Now the reason why I picked this, because this was close. Like I was gonna put Final Fantasy 14 here, but I decided to go with Grand Theft Auto 5 because when I think about it as a complete package, it did provide me with hours of fun, and enjoyment. Even the online, it had a rocky start. The launch was kind of messed up. And, even beyond the launch, like, the game wasn't performing that well. But, I mean, once it did start to work, like, a couple weeks later, it was a fun experience, especially playing with you guys and Kennedy and everyone. So, yeah, it was fun. And there's no denying that the single-player portion of the game was, it's probably the best GTA to date, period. I mean, there are parts where it gets repetitive and boring, but... like there's so much to that world that you can't kind of forget. I think a lot of people forgot after the online came out. They forgot like what made the game so great initially. So yeah, I had to mention that game in my top 5, and I put it at number 5. So moving on to my number 4. My number 4 is BioShock Infinite. Now I reviewed this game earlier this year, and before I played this game, I hadn't played any BioShock game, but I played this game and, instantly I was hooked from the very first steps that Booker took. I was blown away by how graphically beautiful the game was. Like, it was amazing. And, it just drew me in. Like, it was like the Colombia, it's like a real city. Like, it's like a living, breathing city, even though it's up in the skies and everything. Like, you can imagine that it's real. And, after you meet Elizabeth, it gets even better. It's like just one hell of a ride from there on. So, yeah, and the ending, the ending, I just saw Ed's text. But yeah, the ending was incredible. It's one of the best endings of this generation, in my opinion, next to Metal Gear Solid.
That's strong words, B.
Woo! Wow.
That's some strong statements.
There'll be a lot of things to say about that. Continue first.
Yeah, so that's my number 4. My number 3 is Ni no Kuni: Wrath of the White Witch. Now, over this console generation, there has been some there has been some great JRPGs this generation, but the thing is, when you compare it to the PS2 era, it kind of fell off a little bit. Like, the consistency with JRPGs kind of fell off. Like, there wasn't as many quality JRPGs coming out.
That's very true. That's very, very true.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of them on, like, handhelds and stuff, but as far as console goes, like, there weren't a lot of them.
There was only a few, like Lost Odyssey, this console generation.
Yeah, exactly. And that was years ago, so, yeah. A big gap. But, yeah, I mean, Ni no Kuni... Like, it was just so refreshing to play another game like that. It's got all the traditional RPG elements, but at the same time, it's so modernized that it's a really enjoyable experience. And you can catch the familiars, which are like Pokemon, and the battle system is fun. You got the Studio Ghibli, artwork and everything. Like, it's a really fun game to play. I haven't beat it yet because, it's a really long game and you have to put a lot of hours into that. But I do plan to revisit it. I probably will very soon because, this is the time for me to get through my backlog because I don't have a next-gen system yet. So, yeah, I will be revisiting that game. And I think it deserved to be in, the top 5. So I put it at number 3.
So a game that you never beat is number 3. Cool.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that's
a dope game. That's a really
That's
cool
the
game.
only one that's acceptable, though, because it's an RPG. Like, this is like 80 hours we're talking.
Yeah, that's a long freaking game.
I actually have a life, so, I have to...
Did you beat Final Fantasy 14?
You can't beat Final Fantasy 14, really.
That's an MMO, man.
That's an MMO.
I don't know, man. I don't know,
It's running blind on that one. is what has happened.
I don't play that shit.
I feel you though, Gary, because that game has got a lot of beautiful animation. It's got a great story. It's got that Studio Ghibli Miyazaki touch, and it's long. That's what you want from a JRPG.
Yeah,
you want a long story.
Yeah, it's got all the elements that you want from a JRPG. So yeah, I had to mention that. Okay, so my number 2 game, here's where like it got controversial with some people, but my number 2 game is The Last of Us. Now, there's no denying like this game's going to appear a lot on a lot of people's lists because it's definitely one of the most memorable games this year. I would actually probably say it's the most memorable game of 2013, but that doesn't, make it my number 1 because the thing is like the story was amazing. Like I remember every moment of it, but the gameplay, it wasn't perfect. Like there are parts, especially early on, where it's just very, I don't want to say boring. Boring's not the right word, but it's just like there's not much to it. It's like whatever at first, but like once you hit that halfway mark, things start to get so intense with the story that playing the game doesn't actually seem that tedious at that point. Like it actually begins to intertwine with the story, and it all just becomes one intense ride till the end. And it's definitely a memorable ending and a memorable tale from start to finish. So yeah, that's the game that everyone will remember from 2013. Naughty Dog has done it again.
I just would like to say one thing.
Uh-huh.
I gotta take this shot, and then you can continue.
Go ahead.
I wish that somebody will make a game where the black characters actually survive throughout. That's what I'm saying. Continue. Yeah.
Yeah, all the black people got murked in that game. But,
You're going to be very disappointed with horror, I'll tell you that right now.
But yeah, I mean, this is it's a zombie story. Like black people don't survive in zombie apocalypses, man. Like, you should know this by now. It never happens. But yeah, that game definitely memorable. But it just wasn't enough to make it to my number 1. Now, the game that is my number 1 is the game that I've been addicted to for the past several weeks. And I actually brought a new system for this game. Keep that in mind as well. And it's Pokemon Y. I guess you can count Pokemon X and Y as one game. It's essentially the same. They just have different Pokemon or whatever. But yeah, that game has held my attention for the past couple of weeks, and because it's so accessible as well, because it's on a handheld device, it's like you go everywhere with it, and you make the time to play it. If you got spare 30 minutes or whatever, then you could spend time playing Pokemon, building up your team, training them, battling people, all that stuff. It's a really addictive experience. I know there's some people who probably aren't really into all that, because it's an RPG at the end of the day, and RPGs ain't for everybody. And you might not actually be a fan of Pokemon itself as well, or the concept behind it. But it's just, for me, it's just such an easy to play game, and it's just the one that I've spent the most time with this year, hands down. And, that's kind of surprising to me personally, because the first couple of weeks I had it, I actually neglected it and didn't play it at all, even though I bought a new system for it. But once I did start to push myself and get into it, I was just lost. And yeah, that game is definitely my number 1 of 2013. Now, I know you guys got criticisms, so go ahead.
No, I can respect that. No, I understand why you put that as number 1. I mean, that's surprising to me. I thought, honestly, you were going to put The Last of Us. But I can respect that, and I can understand why you chose that, because you got a much more quality experience that kept you coming back for more.
It was
with Pokemon Y than you did any other game, and that's actually good. That's technically... Oh, my God. For real. But what I was going to say was that's what you want out of a game of the year. You want that same type of feeling that you got of why you love Pokemon Y so much. Yeah, I think that's a good choice.
I feel like I got the most value out of that game this year. So
I would like to make a statement as well. I have no criticisms, but I will say that all of you guys now having a 3DS now, I guess that's telling me I need to get one now too. So thank you being a Nintendo spokesperson today and saying all these positive things about Pokemon X and Y.
I'm not gonna lie. The thing that made me want one was that Nintendo Direct. So that's pretty good what Nintendo's doing with that.